Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Morgan, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to share simple recipes, tips and tricks, and some easy how-tos. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be doing a how-to on shelling and deveining prawns, and then some simple recipes to use them in as well. So we've got a simple curry from scratch, and then we've got some little prawn appetizers as well. So these are green tiger prawns. These are just from the deli section at Coles or Woolworths, and they're thawed, so you can't refreeze them, but they have been frozen previously. So what I like to do when I'm starting out, just here where the head ends and the body begins, you just want to put your little thumb in there, and then you put your two fingers on top like that, and you just twist it off like that. Pop your head away. Now you can actually use the head and the skins and tails for stock. So then what we do is you run your thumb down the bottom in between the legs on each side, and then you can just pull the shell off like that. Just put it in there, and see, then you don't want all of that tail. So if you are in certain dishes, you want the tail on, but I prefer it not to, just purely for the fact that then I can just eat without having to get my hands involved. So where we've pulled off the head, you can see there's this little tube here, and that's the poop chute or the poop tube. So what you want to do is you can actually just, if you delicately pull on that, it should just pull out. I don't know if you can see that, just pull that out like that. And then you have it. So we'll do another one. So we've got our thumbs and fingers between where the head ends and the tail begins, and we just sort of give it a twist and kind of pull it. Discard the head, and then just run your thumb down that middle bit there. That one comes off quite nicely. So like I said, if you want to leave the tail on, then you'll just peel to here. And I know that a lot of people do that. It looks quite nice in dishes. I'm not today, purely because one, I just want to be able to eat it with a fork. It's a Sunday night. I'm not into doing anything too fancy. And two, one of the recipes requires chopped up prawns. So you just take the tail off like that. And then this little bit here again. So this little bit here again, and we just pull it, and it comes loose like that. Alright, so now we've got all of our prawns peeled. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the little prawn appetizers. I'm just going to make a couple. So what I've got in here is I've chopped the prawns so that they're about that size, so maybe like a 1 centimeter sort of chunk. And I've added in about a teaspoon of garlic, a teaspoon of ginger, a little bit of chopped up spring onions, and some soy sauce. I'm just going to give that a mix now. You can you could also add some other things like some sesame oil, a little bit of fish sauce, or some chili, but I'm just keeping it super simple today. A little bit of fresh coriander would go amazing in here. So what I'm going to do is I've got my spring roll paper, and then I'm actually going to chop these into forks.
Okay, editing Morgan here. So actually only cut them once, don't cut them again horizontally. It'll end up with a much nicer end product.
So you want to let it thaw completely before you try and separate it, otherwise it's very difficult. Okay. So we'll just get a little bit of our mixture. Now you could also use this mixture in a gyoza as well, like in a little prawn dumpling. So that would be very similar, just use a gyoza wrapper. So we're just making the little ones today. So once we've got a little square, we just then roll over each side like this and like that. And then you have like a little mini prawn spring roll. baking tray. So you can deep fry these. So if you're going to deep fry them, you just grab a little bit of water and you just seal these edges off. But I'm just baking them because I've only got a couple. And then I'm going to put them in a 180 degree oven. So you want to get the oven really well preheated because there's quite a bit of sort of oil already in the wrapper. And what happens when you put it into a really hot oven is the oil releases and it kind of fries itself in the oven. Alright, so now they're in the oven, I'll get started on my curry. So what I've got for my curry is I've got some different spices. So I've already pre-portioned them out. So what I've got in here is I've got half a teaspoon of fennel seeds, half a teaspoon of garam masala, and then 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. Then I've got 1 teaspoon of turmeric, half a teaspoon of chili, so I've got the dried chili, and then 1.5 teaspoons of mustard powder. Then I've got my prawns. So normally I would have used all of those prawns in this curry, so that was 350 grams of unshelled prawns. Alright, so I'm just going to do a rough chop with my onion. Then I've got about half a punnet of cherry tomatoes, so I'm just going to do those in halves. Then I've got some zucchini, so I'm just going to use about that much, so it's about half a medium zucchini. And then got a small handful of basil. Okay, so then the other ingredients that I'm going to be using today is some coconut milk and some diced tomatoes, and then I'll pop a handful of spinach in at the end, and then I'll also serve it over some boiled rice. So to start, we're just going to heat up our frying pan on a medium to high heat, and we're going to add in some olive oil to warm up as well. So just a really good glug in there. So once we've warmed up our oil, we're just going to add in our brown onion, and we're just going to saute that until it's translucent, so nice and soft. Alright, so once the onions have softened down a little bit, we're going to add in the fennel, the garam masala and the cumin. I'm just going to let that sort of toast off a little bit. Alright, and so once those have become fragrant, we're going to add in the chili, the turmeric and the mustard. I'll give that a really quick stir. Just going to add in a small dash of chicken stock, but you can just use water as well. Okay, so we're just letting that simmer a little bit, just so that the tomatoes can get a little bit softer and the onions can soften a little bit. And then once we've let that simmer and everything's a little bit softer, I'm just going to blitz it up with the bar mixer. Okay, so we've given this a blitz. We're just going to return that to the simmer, and I'm just going to add in my zucchini and cherry tomatoes at this point, and let them simmer down a little bit. If it's starting to look a little bit thick, you can also add a little bit more stock or water, and then we're going to add the coconut milk in as well, just in a minute. Okay, so I added a little bit more chicken stock in there. Now, once these zucchinis are getting a little bit soft and your cherry tomatoes are starting to soften a little bit, we go in with our coconut milk. Give that a good stir, and then we'll just let that simmer again until the zucchini is soft. Okay, so we've just got this simmering here now, and the zucchini is starting to get quite soft. I'm just going to do our salt and our pepper now. So you want to season it to taste. We haven't got any salt in here. We haven't got any salt in here or anything at the moment. So you can be quite liberal, just salt and pepper to your taste. And this is the point at which I'm going to add my prawns. So we're just going to cook this now until the prawns are cooked through, and we'll know that they're cooked through because they won't be translucent anymore, and then they'll also be a little bit pink in colour. Okay, so that took only a minute or two, literally super quick because they're such small bits. If you're not sure, just pull a little bit of prawn out, chop it in half, and just check that it's gone white all the way through. So now that we're done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my spinach and basil. Give it a good stir and let it wilt down a little bit, and I'm just going to turn the heat off completely now. And there's our super simple prawn curry. Super quick and delicious.
And these are our spring rolls. So as I mentioned earlier, if you leave the pastry a bit longer, then when you roll them up, they'll look a little bit more like proper spring rolls. But super delish.
I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel. Liking videos like this really does help me know what kind of content to create. And if you do give anything a go, make sure you tag me on mindful_and_messy on Instagram. And I also share a lot of simple dinner ideas and the dinners that I cook most nights over there as well. Have a great week, guys. See ya.